think about where China was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, you go there and everyone was riding a bicycle, and now they're building better tech than we have in the United States.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not just this idea of, oh, countries are static and I need to help you understand that when you go to Japan, it's different. It's also that your own place is changing and how you're perceived as being is different than it used to be.
How far do you think America is from how many Americans think about it currently in the world?
Oh, I think it's
like take us through a little journey. So let's talk about that period. There's the period where America comes out of these wars, physical and otherwise, right? The Cold War is the World War, Vietnam War. But there's this moment, like America has this idea of itself, and the world has an idea of America, And I think some people are still sort of set in that and stuck in it, but it's clearly changed. What do you think has been the biggest shift?
There have been a few.
Yeah.
A big one, is that America used to be the place that wanted to trade with everybody. Free trade.
Yeah.
Now tariffs are the principal tool that the Americans are using economically. And it's not just about Trump. I mean, most people in the US, Democrats, Republicans, are saying, no, we don't want free trade. We want stuff that's built much more here. And we want more manufacturing here. And you think as well about immigration. And my grandma came through Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty.
Where did she come from?
Originally, they are Syrian Armenians.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they came over, and she's even on a little bench,
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Kind of cool to see.
Still now.
Yeah.
That's
I haven't been
amazing.
today, but I think so. Unless someone ripped it out. I mean,
On these 2 cold days,
yeah,
she's out there in a bench.
still there. My old grandma.
And you're out here draped in cashmere and wool.
You and your textures.
Eugene loves
Crazy.
textures.
I
He
can't
does. So, and I think of the Statue of Liberty as a pretty iconic thing for the United States.
Right.
But, I mean, clearly that doesn't reflect who the United States is today. Right? I mean, like welcoming immigrants from all over the world.
Yeah,
Give
that's
me your
changed.
tired, your huddled
Yes.
masses. That is nowhere close.
Yeah, now it's give me your people who have $1 million to invest or $5 million to spend on citizenship.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the new thing now.
Yes. Sell me your golden visa.
Sell me your golden visa.
Right. Yeah. And also let me see your social media history,
Oh,
by
yes.
the way,
Yeah.
the last 5 years. When I first saw that, I didn't see the context. Of course, you'd immediately think, oh, that's China. You would think that from around the world, right? Or you think it was Russia or some other authoritarian state that controls information. Turns out it's the United States. Most other people around the world would not have thought. That does not comport with their view of the United States.
I'm just thinking about how powerful the idea of a place is, in that it can be so powerful that people don't notice when it is doing things that it said it did not stand for. Because what you just said, I don't know why that it just like jammed something in my brain.
I saw the reaction immediately.
No, it literally jammed something in my brain where I went, if you put out a news headline tomorrow and said, China is going to be scrubbing people's social media for anyone who comes into the country, they're going to look through their social media for 5 years and they're going to get access to your phone. How would most people react? They would go, I'm never going to China.
Yeah, but they'll be like, of course I expect it.
Yeah. And they'd be like, what kind of country
not
does
bringing
this?
my phone. Got to bring a burner, all that
Exactly.
kind of stuff. It's a communist country. Don't trust them, authoritarian. The United States is, these things are fluid. Nations are fluid. Governments, these all things, our identity. What do we stand for? Who are we? I mean, maybe the most consistent thing since I was growing up is money. In terms of what the United States stands for.
Yeah, the dollar.
The almighty dollar.
Yes.
But I, when I grew up, the U.S. didn't only stand for the dollar; it stood for other things too, and I think that's becoming a challenge.
You're always writing books about moments in
And
time.
tweets. Don't forget tweets.
I'll never forget the tweets.
Okay, good.
Where you guys first met.
Our meet cutes.
Yeah.
You're always writing books about moments and ideas that speak to those moments. A power crisis. How the world is moving at a certain moment in time. I always wonder, especially from authors who tap into these moments in the zeitgeist, I always wonder what they're seeing that we're not seeing that leads to them writing that book. And I'd love to know like what you're seeing now that would inspire a book that you would be writing for the future. What's capturing your attention and your imagination as someone who studies the world?
Maybe the book that I wrote that probably was most prescient was back in 2011, and I'm going to answer your question. I just wanted to give you a thought about it, and about the G0 world. And this idea, not that I had some crystal ball, but that it seems so overdetermined by big structural factors in the world, by the fact that the Russians, when the Soviet Union collapsed, we said that we wanted to bring them in. The NATO-Russia Council, the G7+1, we never really wanted to bring them in. They were angry about it. They blamed us. And we said we wanted to bring China in. We did, but only if they were going to become Americans. Only if they actually accepted our economic system. They became free marketeers. Only if they
kissed the ring.
Right. If they adapted their system, and they became much, much more powerful, but they were still Chinese. So we weren't happy about that. And then the United States increasingly had a whole bunch of people saying, well, all that stuff that we used to do, like, sheriff of the world and architect of trade and promoting democracy, we don't really buy that stuff. So you put all those things together, it seemed to me wildly overdetermined that the world wasn't going to be Pax Americana. It wasn't going to be G7 or G2 or G20. It was going to be an absence of global leadership. That the U.S. wasn't going to play the role it used to, but no other country or group of countries could come together and replace it, at least not for a period of time. And so it seemed to me wildly overdetermined, even if some of these things were going to change, that the train had so much momentum pulling out of the station and going downhill that the G0 was going to come. So I wrote that because, a book should be something that stands up for a while. And the thing that I see now...
Wait, before you move on from that, I'd love to know how people responded to it at the time.
Yeah.
Because I find a lot of these books and these ideas are welcomed when they meet their moment.
Or in hindsight.
Yeah, but when you release them, I'd love to know how people responded to you writing a book basically saying, not only would America not be the de facto, respected and loved power in the world, but power itself would diffuse. It, would find itself diffusing in this kind of way. How did people respond to that?
I think they thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
They thought it was intriguing. I think it played with a lot of different strands that people were picking up and looking at. There were a whole bunch of people that were looking at one or two pieces of that puzzle. But most people at the time thought I was taking it too far.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Most people thought, no, maybe it'll go that way. But actually, we see a G2, it's going to be U.S.-China, or actually, it's still Pax Americana, and the U.S. isn't in decline. I'm like, no, the U.S. doesn't have to be in decline, but if it doesn't want to do these things, then it is personally removing itself from that role. It doesn't mean that the dollar suddenly is no longer the reserve currency. It doesn't mean that the U.S. doesn't have, all of this military capacity, but it still has to be willing to play that role.